I'm sure you're happy to see a sheet with only 2 problems. On your sheet, the problems are listed across. On mine, they're going down, but they're the same problems. The first couple questions you learned to do a very long time ago. F of -3 just means if you put in a -3 for x, what is the y value on the graph? So when we put x equals -3, it looks like y equals 0. The function value at x equals 1. Well, at x equals 1, we got 2 things happening. There's something up here, there's something down here, but we go with the solid dot. That is the answer when x equals 1. So it looks like the y value then would be +1. F of 2. So when the function value when x equals 2 is not a whole number, looks like it's about 1.5, 1.5. And finally, f of 3, the function value when x equals 3 appears to be 2. So that was very easy. Just the notation, if you haven't done it in a while. Domain, we're still doing. Domain is how far to the left do the x's go, how far to the right do the x's go. It looks like they only go to the right to -3, inclusive, -3. And then they go to the right. I hope I said they go to the left, -3. They go to the right, and there's a hole here, but that's okay because up here, it's covered by a solid dot. And then they continue up as high as x equals +3. And there is a solid dot there. The range. Now the range on this one's a little more interesting. Range goes from the lowest y values to the highest y values. So it looks like the y values aren't going any lower than -2, and in fact, they don't even equal -2, so I'll put the parentheses here. And then we do have y values here and here and here. We do have a y value at 0, and then there's a break. So we're only going to consider this bottom piece of the graph right now, and it goes up to 0, and there is a solid dot at 0. Union, the y values pick up again here at y equals 1 and continue until y equals 2. And there is a dot on both of those, so we will include them. Number 2. We have actually 2 functions graphed here. They said we have the f function and we have the g function. And they happen to intersect each other a couple of times. So far as we know. They may do other wonderful things somewhere else on the grid. So which one's larger? Well, f of 0, the f function value when x is 0 looks to be 3. And g of 0, the g function value at 0 appears to only be 1/2. So which one is larger? That would have to be the f of 0 function. Then they ask us in part B, who's larger again? Very American, always going for the biggest. Not always the best. Okay, so f of -3 is, well, this is the f function. At -3, it appears to be about, it's hard to see from this graph, about -1. And g of -3, so that's the g function, at -3, it appears to be at about +2. So in this case, who's the larger? The g function. And we could have told that without actually finding the values, just by looking at the graphs. Part C. For which x values do the 2 functions come out to the same result? Well, that's obviously where they intersect each other. So that would be at x equals, looks like that's happening at x equals -2. And it looks like it's happening again when x equals +2. Just wanted to go over some extra things we can do with domain and range.